The cameras clicked on, the stage lights glared, and millions of Americans leaned closer to their screens, not knowing that they were about to witness one of the most unforgettable moments in political television history. The debate between Senator John Kennedy and Congressman Jamie Raskin was billed as another routine clash of wit and policy. But what unfolded that evening went far beyond politics. It was a clash of integrity, character, and truth that left one man standing tall and another shattered under the weight of his own words. From the very beginning, tension charged the air. Raskin entered with a confident smile, the kind of smile that carried years of polished speeches and carefully crafted sound bites. He believed he had the upper hand, certain that Kennedy's folksy manner and unpolished humor would falter under the sharp edges of his rhetoric. The moderators opened with a heated topic on government accountability, and Raskin launched into an attack. His words came rapid fire, painting Kennedy as out of touch, outdated, and even dangerous for democracy. Kennedy listened quietly, his expression unreadable. He leaned back in his chair, hands folded, his eyes fixed not on the cameras, but directly on Raskin, as if he were studying not just his words but the weight behind them. When Raskin finally paused to sip water, Kennedy leaned forward. His voice, slow but sharp as a blade, broke the silence. "Congressman," he began, his southern drawl cutting through the tension, "you talk about accountability like you invented it, but tell me Thesa, how can a man demand transparency when his own record is darker than a coal mine at midnight?" The audience gasped. Kennedy wasn't making an accusation, he was opening a door. And through that door came a flood of undeniable truths. He pulled out documents, dates, and reports of details of moments when Raskin had spoken one way but voted another. Times when his words promised one thing to his constituents, yet his actions betrayed them in Washington. Kennedy didn't raise his voice, he didn't need to. Each sentence struck with precision, dismantling Raskin's credibility piece by piece. Raskin tried to interject, his voice shaking slightly now, but Kennedy wouldn't let the moment slip. "You call me unfit," he said firmly, "but I'd rather be plain-spoken and honest than polished and dishonest. You've spent years building a career on clever speeches, but speeches don't feed families, they don't lower the cost of living, they don't protect our communities, and the people watching tonight know it." The crowd erupted in applause, raw, spontaneous, and unstoppable. Even the moderators struggled to quiet the audience. Raskin's face reddened, his usual composure faltering under the sheer force of being exposed live, with no script to shield him. He fumbled through a response, but the words fell flat. The more he spoke, the more the audience saw the cracks. It was in that moment, under the glare of the cameras, that Raskin's career began to crumble, not because Kennedy had humiliated him, but because Kennedy had forced the truth into the light. The illusion Raskin had carefully maintained for years shattered in seconds. Viewers at home began to flood social media, clips spreading like wildfire, hashtags trending within minutes. Headlines the next morning would echo the same sentiment. Kennedy didn't just win the debate, he exposed the emptiness of Raskin's platform. Yet what struck the audience most wasn't the destruction of a political career. It was Kennedy's final words, delivered not with triumph but with sincerity. "Folks, politics ain't about destroying each other. It's about serving you. If all we do is stare one another down, we've already lost. But if we tell the truth even when it's hard, maybe, just maybe, we can start building something worth leaving to our children." Silence filled the studio. Even Raskin, visibly shaken, could only bow his head. The debate was over, but its impact had only begun. Across the country, people who had long felt ignored or lied to found a renewed hope in those words. Kennedy hadn't just dismantled his opponent, he reminded America of what leadership could look like when stripped of ego and rooted in honesty. And for Raskin, that night was the beginning of the end. His speeches no longer carried weight, his credibility dissolved, and his influence faded. Meanwhile, Kennedy's star rose, not because he sought power, but because he dared to speak with the courage that millions longed to hear. The story of that debate became more than a headline. It became a lesson. Truth has a way of breaking through the noise. It may come slowly, it may arrive unexpectedly, but when it does, it shatters illusions in an instant. And on that unforgettable night, The truth collapsed a career in seconds, while igniting a fire of hope across a weary nation.